Can you feel it? Baby, it's cold outside. And I'm not talking about the winter weather. I'm talking about the world. It is cold outside in this world. The Messiah said in Matthew chapter 24, verse 12, he said, because of the increase in lawlessness, the love of many shall become cold. And we are in that time where it is cold. It is definitely lawless, and it's definitely been becoming more and more loveless in the world that we're in. I'm reading from the book Remnant Love, and I'm in the first chapter. Can you feel it, baby? It's cold outside. I'm going to read a little bit here. It says, Babylon, the world system of spiritual mixture and cultural confusion, is falling, or should I say, fallen. We as believers are not of this world, but we are very much in it. Every day we experience the effects of what is happening all around us. So when I go on to list, some different things that are happening that we all can agree to that are happening in the world today, and things are just trickling down. Things are getting worse and worse. We're looking around and things are getting worse. So when the Messiah is talking about the increase in lawlessness, he's not speaking of the lawlessness that is the laws of this world, but he's talking about the increase of breaking the Most High's laws. The Most High's laws are being disregarded. They're being broken. They've been ignored for since the beginning of time, increasingly, right? So as that has piled up and as that has built up, we see the state that we're in now, where the lawlessness has led to lovelessness, right? So let me read a little bit more of the book here. It says that those who control the systems of the world have rejected Yah, and those whom the system has oppressed have begun to wax cold under the weight of that oppression. The stress of living in today's fast-paced, disconnected, and oppressive flow puts people in an anxious mindset of hustling to survive. The frustration that comes from that leads people to mentally and emotionally detach as a coping mechanism to preserve their own well-being. Right? So we're trying to survive in this world with all that we have going on. And when you have a lot going on, like, you don't have a lot of time for people. When you're stressing over your bills, when you're stressing over job, and you got stuff going on with the family, and you got a lot of stuff going on that you're trying to stay afloat, you don't have a lot of leisure, right? And that's what this world seeks to do. It seeks to steal your time, steal your peace, so that you are in a survival mode and you don't have a lot of space to hold for anybody else, right? So when you're interacting with people in the world, you're impatient as you're going to and fro in your day. When you're dealing with people, you don't have a lot of time for other people's problems. You're like, listen, I got my own problems. I'm not trying to, hear about it, and it just starts to create a climate where everybody becomes more and more self-focused, right? And so this is something that builds up over time. So little by little by little, we as we're not following the ways of Yah, as we're not doing the things that he has prescribed for us, right, that will lead to life, we start to see death settling in, right? So it says, rejecting the Creator's laws of love and righteousness calls us to gradually grow cold, right? Some of the coldness that we can see in our community as believers, we have so much conflict, right? We have so much conflict just amongst us, not just when you're going out and dealing with the world, but just amongst each other. We have so much conflict. We are not willing to listen. We're not willing to communicate. We're not willing to spend the time necessary and to really build bonds, build relationships, build understanding, bridge gaps where there's misunderstandings, right? So that we can be in unity and oneness. So it says here, when it's extremely cold outside, we call it bitter cold, right? When it's real cold outside, it's like it's bitter cold outside. You can feel it to your bones, right? And bitterness is exactly what has begun to eat away at the core of many people's hearts as love grows cold. People have bitterness, right? People are bitter. People are carrying bitterness with them from things that they've dealt with, things that they haven't had the opportunity and time and space to heal from, situations that are constantly coming, right? So see, it's hard to maintain your own body heat when you're in a cold environment, right? When it's cold, it's hard to maintain your own body heat when it's freezing, right? Sometimes you want to get huddled together with somebody else and let's let's try to keep warm together, right? But it says that if you're with others who refuse to work together or there's no one else there, you're going to struggle to maintain that body heat by yourself, and you might go into hypothermia. You may die, right? And the same thing happens when your soul begins to freeze, and the fire, the warmth, and the light inside of you is slowly snuffed out, right? You begin to fade. You begin to fade. It gets harder and harder to keep that, to stay warm, to stay kind, right? To stay giving, right? When I looked up the verse Matthew 24, and it talks about the love of many growing cold. It says the love of many is going to grow cold. In some versions it says wax cold, right? So the word there is spelled psycho. The Greek word is spelled psycho, but it's actually pronounced suko. But I thought it's interesting that it was the word psycho because that's what we start to go psycho because of the lovelessness. That's what lovelessness will drive you crazy, right? When you are constantly rejected, constantly hitting a brick wall, constantly feeling alone, constantly just dealing with these different things, it will drive you crazy, slowly but surely, right? And so I thought it was interesting to say that people will wax cold, and it's the word psycho, but it's pronounced suko, and it means for like a breath or a wind to slowly, like blowing out a candle, like it slowly diminishes something, right? It's something that slowly is blown out, snuffed out, diminished, right? So some characteristics of a cold heart is being detached, being numb, being distant. You ever feel like you were growing away from somebody? You're growing apart. People say they grew apart. They became distant because the fire of the love began to dwindle, and it was allowed to snuff out. Right? And you can keep a fire going if you nurture it, right? But distractions and different things in life will keep you from nurturing that thing, and it'll snuff out. With neglect will cause something. Neglect is the opposite of nurturing. So when you nurture something, you ever see somebody trying to start a fire outside, and they're taking the wood and they're taking the things to try to keep it going, and they're blowing it, and they're trying to keep it contained and keep the air from snuffing it out, and they're nurturing it, right, to get it to not go out and to get more of a blaze and bigger and to grow. So you have to nurture that thing and protect it for it to grow, right? But if you neglect it because you're preoccupied, because you're distracted, because you're angry, because you have your own bitterness, then neglect, would cause it to be a distance that causes it to snuff out. So a cold heart is numb, is aloof, is detached, distant, unresponsive. When you're numb, you become cold, you become unresponsive to things that you should respond to. You become you just let things go when you should address it. You developed a lukewarmness where you kind of don't care either way. A cold heart is haughty, prideful. Pride is another symptom of a cold heart, right? Unemotional, passionless. You don't have no oomph. You lose your oomph. Bitter, withdrawn, uncommunicative, unwilling to communicate, to talk, to speak, to listen, right? Stiff, impersonal, uncaring. These are just some of the characteristics of a cold heart. Unyielding, unwilling to yield. When something's frozen, you ever try to break something that's frozen? I know I put stuff in the freezer sometimes, and if you don't separate it, sometimes you just want one. Like I had some bread or something in the freezer, and I just wanted one slice, But because it was stuck to the other ones, it was like, dang, it's stuck to it. It's unyielding. It won't let go because it's frozen together. When something is frozen and cold, it becomes unyielding. It won't give in. It won't forgive. It won't, you won't forgive. You won't be willing to listen to another person's point of view. All of these things are characteristics of a cold heart. So think about it. Have you been experiencing this within yourself? I know you've experienced it with other people. Like, I know you've seen this as you come and go. You've seen this in your workplace, in your family, in your neighborhood. You've seen this, in your church, in your assembly. You've experienced this, right? But are you starting to experience this within your own heart? Right? Are you starting to be affected so much by what's going on outside that you're also being affected on the inside? Right? Has there been bitterness growing inside of you that needs to be addressed? Right? So that's something that we want to consider, because we want to be able to survive the cold. Okay? We want to be able to survive the cold. We don't want to succumb to this coldness that is coming over the earth, that the Messiah prophesied that we were going to be in this state of being in these end days, especially, and that we had to endure through, And the only way we can endure is by keeping our fire going, by not neglecting our fire, by nurturing our fire. In this love, in the book, we're talking about the 4 flows of love, right? So our love in our heart can grow cold towards people, where we don't want to deal with people anymore, right? We're not really engaging with people in the way that in a healthy way that we're supposed to. It can grow cold towards ourselves, where we're neglecting ourselves and not nurturing the love for ourselves, right? But our love can also grow cold towards the Most High, where we're not on fire anymore, right? We've forgotten our first love. We've fallen away from our first love, and we're not nurturing the love that keeps us in the place of hearing Him and listening to Him and obeying Him, that keeps us in the place of desiring and following strongly after Him, right? And nurturing the love that He has for us, that He's pouring into us, because without that, we don't have anything, right? The love that we have, the fire that we have, is coming from Him. It's coming from His Spirit, right? So are we nurturing the love relationship that He is pouring out on us? Are we nurturing that? Or have we lost that? Have we forgotten it? Are we no longer attached to it? Right? So we have to nurture this. We have to nurture this if we want to keep it alive, if we want to keep it going. It's so important, because if we don't, we'll be snuffed out, right? So that's what I'm just gonna stop there for right now. I just want to read a little bit from the beginning of the book. So again, this is Remnant Love, Winning the End Days Battle to Endure in the Light of Love. If you haven't already gotten it, grab a copy at remnantlovebook.com. I'll be sharing some videos here, and if you want to, if you get the book and you want to join along, there's a discussion group where you can join in to discuss some more things in depth. So I pray that you allow the Most High to show you what areas that you are, that you may be in danger of growing cold, what portion of your relationships with yourself, with people, with Him. Comment below if you identify this around you, if you're identifying some of these things within yourself, and share what area it has been the biggest struggle for you to maintain that fire. Has it been dealing with people? Has it been dealing with your relationship with the Most High? Is it in nurturing yourself? Share that below in the comments. But I encourage you to keep the fire going. Allow the Most High to nurture that fire within you, and to tap you back into love. Not just the love that you've been used to, not just the love that you naturally have flowed in, at times in your life, but we need the supernatural love. We need the love that comes from the source of love. We need His love to be able to endure the supernatural things, because this is an unnatural environment that we're in right now. We're not in a natural environment in this world, right? So in order to survive and thrive and to fulfill the mandate that the Most High has placed on us, as his children and as ambassadors of the kingdom of Yah, the kingdom of heaven. In order to fulfill that, we can't flow in our flesh. We have to tap into his spirit. We have to tap into his spirit and be able to pull on his love, his fire, to be able to continue and to fulfill what we're called to in this earth in these days. So it's important that we tap in, that we return back to our first love, and that we allow him to nurture his fire in us, to revive us. He's more than able to revive anything that looks like it's dry, anything that looks like it's dead, anything that looks like it's being waxed cold and snuffed out. If you may feel like you're going psycho, you know, and losing it, the Most High can reestablish our grip, right, and cause us to thrive. So, hallelujah, all praises to the Most High, and I will see you in the next video. Blessings.